so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming to try to talk to me. And the Lord said, listen to what this unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for the chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice and get justice quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? For this is the word of our Lord. Thanks be to God. So we just heard about a widow who was very persistent in demanding justice. Very, very persistent. This is a very curious story. This is a feisty woman, okay? Very feisty. The story would have been even more puzzling to Luke's readers in Jesus' time. The role of women were very closely defined. Women had to know their place. Yet again, Jesus makes this rebel woman a hero in the story. This would have been a very, very challenging idea for everybody to kind of understand in that time. Because we got to remember, back then, women had no rights. Women had no value except for their husbands. And which is very, very, very sad, because a lot of the stories that Jesus tells are about women rebelling against the system. The widow was a woman alone in the first century. She was very vulnerable to be taken advantage of in any number of ways. She was very easy prey. Okay? So let's think about it in today's standards. How many of y'all receive phone calls from people from out of the country trying to sell you stuff? Yep, it happens. These people trying to scam people and stuff like that. Let's take a little step back. Who are the most vulnerable people that get taken advantage of? The older ladies. They think that their bank account is going to get frozen because they don't send $5,000 to this person, and so they get scared. They actually try to send that money. It's sad because a lot of people take advantage of older people. It even happened back in Jesus' day. But this woman, she was getting tired of being taken advantage of, so she kept on going to the judge to demand justice. So, this woman is probably up against a wealthy opponent and his bribes. We don't know exactly what the other opponent wants, what the other opponent did to her, but she wants justice for what was done. But whatever it is, she's not going to stand for it. Despite her weak position, she wins by persistence. Persistence. So, let's look at it this way. What holiday's coming up?
Halloween.
Okay. What's the next holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. What's the next holiday?
Christmas.
Christmas.
And New Year's.
And New Year's. But let's go back to Christmas. When y'all were little, what is the one toy you wanted more than anything for Christmas? Gaming system. How many times did you beg Santa Claus or beg your parents for that gaming system?
I never begged.
You never begged?
No.
Okay. So, if there's something that you really want, you have to be persistent about it, right? So, let's look at it. Let's look at it. So, either you ask your parents for the money and or ask them for Christmas, be like, Mom, Dad, I really want that PS5. That PS5 is so awesome. And your parents say, son or daughter, it's not even June yet, and you're asking for this for Christmas already. But you keep asking, and you keep asking, and you keep asking. That is persistence. That is persistence. So the parable of the unjust judge in Luke 18, verses 1 through 8 teaches us not so much to badgering God until he gives in, but it teaches us that God is just. God will bring justice. And we're going to go to God in pleading for justice even now as we wait. Like the window, one of the hardest things we face is injustice. This is especially true when that injustice is directed towards us. Yet tens of thousands of people face injustice, hardship, brutality, and persecution each year. Even some of us are victims. And it is just sometimes hard to believe that we will ever receive justice. It is especially disturbing when those in power are corrupt and those are the ones treating others unfairly. But Jesus reminds us that the issue isn't injustice against us, but it's faithfulness. God will settle accounts and bring about justice. The real question is whether or not we'll stick in there and not give up under fire. Don't give up, for God will not only bring justice, but He will also bring salvation and victory. So let's look at everything that's happening in today's society. There is social injustice going around. People are not happy with the government. There was a protest yesterday that happened not only in every American state, but also in 15 different countries, protesting. It's the No King's March. Protesting against our government. It's kind of crazy. People are not happy. People want truth. They want to be treated fairly. They don't want to be taxed to death. And they don't want people getting hurt or taken away from their families and their children and their loved ones. So let me say this. Just think for just a minute about the injustices that have happened to you. Maybe that one time where your brother started crying for no reason and your mom comes in and asks what happened and your brother said, "Oh, you hit me." And then they're like, "I didn't even touch you." Yeah, has that ever happened to y'all? I have a twin brother. That used to happen to me all the time. But, or maybe somebody stole something from you. And nobody believes you. You want justice to be done. Hang in there. Pray for God to hear you. Don't give up, for God will not only bring justice, but He will also bring salvation and victory. We probably think of faith as an unconditional acceptance of God. The willingness to accept things that don't make any sense to us. We often speak of faith when there appears to be no hope at all. But the widow was not without hope. She tried everything else to get justice. She had no other option. All she had was her sense of outrage and her determination to come back day after day, demanding justice. She knew the judge could help her, and she wasn't going to be quiet or leave him alone until he did. She knew there was justice and knew the difference between right and wrong. She fought for it. She had faith and knew what was rightfully hers. How many of you are willing to stand up and fight for what is right? That's good. It's hard to know what is right and wrong sometimes. But this lady obviously knew what was right. She did not want to be taken advantage of anymore. Now, this is for the ladies in here. This is for the ladies in here. Y'all have got to be careful. Because not every man is a nice man. Some men will take advantage of you if you're not careful. So girls have to be even more self-aware of what's happening to them. This woman, again, the Bible doesn't clarify exactly what happened to her, but she was mad. And she wanted justice for what was done to her. So she kept on begging the judge, asking the judge. Every time she saw him, she wrote him letters. And if there was technology back then, she would have texted him, emailed him, did whatever every day until her voice was heard. Do you know what they call that in Hebrew? This lady had something called kaputz. It is a Yiddish word that means headstrong, persistence, unyielding, and having determination, nerve, and even gall. In this parable, Jesus portrayed faith as kaputz, as a friend banging on a sleeping neighbor's door at midnight, waking up a whole village in order to shame him into providing food he needed for his guests, or a widow badgering a corrupt judge for justice he doesn't want to give her until he relents and throws up his hands and says, "Fine, I'm going to give you what you want." It means being a pain in the neck until you actually get heard. Kaputz makes things possible. Kaputz is another word for faith. It was in reference to the pain in the neck widow who drove the corrupt judge crazy. Jesus' point is that if an evil and unrighteous judge will eventually give in to get complaining and persistent but powerless women off his back, then we can surely count on God, who loves us dearly, to hear us out and respond in ways that are for our best good. So we need to go to God in prayer. If you feel like something's not right, go to God in prayer. That is one of the most important things that we as Christians can do. If you think, oh, God's not going to listen to me. Yeah, he does. But he's also saying, pray for it daily. Pray for justice. Pray for the things that you feel like you may need. You're not going to be bothering God. You need to pray. So let's look at it. Back to Christmas. How will your parents not know what to get you if you don't tell them? Think about it. They can't read your mind. Right? I know my parents couldn't read my mind unless I told them what I needed or wanted. And yet, when we pray to God and we tell him what is going on in our lives, we have to have faith that he hears it. How many of y'all believe in miracles? Sometimes they can be explained and others they can't. But I do know one thing. Miracles can't happen unless we pray for them. We don't usually discover our faith when things go well for us. We usually find it when things fall apart. Because that's when we realize we need it. True faith does not come until we have faced trials and tribulations. We have to be down and out to really understand we are not alone. And that God will hear and respond to our faith through prayers. And sometimes we need to rely on the faith of others and those who come here to strengthen our own faith. We are a reminder to each other that there is justice and love in the world if we just believe and continue to be pains in the neck when there is injustice. Just as a widow was a troublemaker, we are called to be troublemakers. Did y'all hear me? Sometimes we are called to be troublemakers. We are called to identify injustice and scream loud and long about it. We are called to pray for a change of heart or action against those who suffer injustice. We are not called to stand idly by, ignoring the hurts and harms to our fellow community. We are called to have enough faith to do things that we would not normally do or are beyond our comfort levels. Do you hear me? If you see see someone kick a homeless man, you need to scream loud and hard. That's not right. If you see someone get bullied, you are to go out and you are to tell people. That is not right. You go and tell the authorities, hey, we got a bully over here. Because people do not need to suffer. You're okay. People do not need to suffer, and if you have the ability to ease their suffering, do it. We are not called to stand idly by, ignoring hurts and harms to our fellow community. We are called to have enough faith to do things that we normally would not do or are beyond our comfort level. We are called to pray, not only for ourselves and our community, but for the victims and victimizers, that they will see their injustice and change. We are called to give thanks to God, even for the tiniest changes that may happen. So, can you solve all the world's problems? No. The world's too big. There are too many people, too many issues. But can you help solve some ones? By helping them? Can you solve 2 people's? Maybe 3? Maybe. Who knows? Unless you try. Unless you try. We are called to pray. Not only for ourselves and for our community, but for all victims and victimizers, that they will see their injustice and change. We are called to give thanks to God even for the tiniest change that may happen. This widow eventually received justice. And so will we. Maybe not on our timetable, but according to God's will. So remember, speak out against injustice. Pray and have faith in God. I don't know what your faith in God is. Some of it may be great. Some of y'all's faith may be small. It could be changing. But I'm here to tell you right now, if you have a need, it's time to ask God. Don't be ashamed in it. Don't be ashamed, because God already knows what's on your hearts and minds already. Don't be ashamed in it. Now, don't go ask God for a Lamborghini. Or a brand new Ford F-250. Don't think that's really what it means by praying. But, what about this? Asking God for help with getting a job. That's pretty acceptable. And to be honest with you, keep asking God to help you. Ask it every day. Every time it comes to your mind, God, help me find a job. What about this? God helping you find the right person for you to settle down with. That's another one that's on a lot of people's minds. What about this? What if there's some family issues going on? You can always ask God for these things, and do not be embarrassed by it. Because God already knows. Sometimes He wants to hear you admit it. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I constantly ask God to give me clarity in decisions that I have to make. I badger Him. Like, looking at my watch. God, I need an answer. I need an answer. God, please help me do this or that. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes God makes the decision for me. But you've got to be willing. You've You've got to be willing in order. You've got to be willing to ask God to help you with these things. Now, I don't know what all you have going on this week. I don't know if y'all have any plans or any tests or anything crazy going on. But if you need help in making your mind, pray. If you see that someone is struggling, pray for that person. Let them know that you're praying for them. To let them know that you don't have to go through it alone. You see, sometimes being a Christian is simply just by loving someone who's going through a hard time and asking God to help that person. It's a lot. It's a lot. Man, I barely recognize you coming in.
Yeah, a couple of haircuts.
Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
For just real quick, Jesus tells the parable of two men who prayed. To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everybody else, Jesus told this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood up and prayed about himself. God, I thank you I'm not like the other man, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a poor sinner. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God, before everyone else who exalted himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. When you pray, be humble. Be humble. Humility goes a long, long way. When you go to pray before God, don't ask for lavish things. Ask for justice. Ask for love. Ask for the necessities. But most importantly, ask for love. Let's pray.